Battle started.
Hello everyone and welcome to another Beyond a Reason video. Today we are on a map. I have no idea how to pronounce it. It's called Xfactorlive Bog, I guess, by Nacuxis. As you can see, it's mostly like low water, like very shallow with a lot of land. We've got in the top in red Blodir, and his opponent for today is Xfactor. Now in the actual leaderboards, Xfactor is currently the second best player in duels, and Blodir is rank number 5. So a lot to play for here. Basically the top players in the game, and we'll see how this one goes. Now, metal points on the map, we can see they're all 2.3 metal, which is pretty good. That's quite a lot of metal to start off with. And as we zoom on out again, we can see that this map is kind of split as if it was a 3v3. With start positions to the left and right of Xfactor with triple mexes, and then lanes kind of down here. So this is going to be a lot of ground for both players to deal with. There's not too much in the way of like radar blocking things. There are some small hills as we see here, but realistically a radar is going to be able to give you vision pretty much anywhere. So as long as players have radars, this is going to be quite easy to see where your opponents are coming from. And with this map being quite large as well, you can also see it's going to take a while for units to get there. This grunt has left Blodir's base and is just kind of defending an expansion. But even with some early harass from scouts, it's going to take a while for any of those units to actually get across this map. Now, we do also have a couple of geos here on either side of the base, and also as of note, there is a lot of treeco, or tree claim, however you want to say it, meaning there's a lot of energy to be had on the table, and we can see the Xfactor here just completely just pushing out a huge group of units, not really building any form of extra economy, relying purely on the wind to give himself power. Now he's started building some additional winds. Speaking of wind with a mixture here between 12 and 4. That's pretty good. And there is no tidal strength here, so the water's probably not even deep enough for that. And his starting engineers have actually just gone straight out to those side mex points. Meanwhile, Blodir's second engineer only just leaving base and deciding to go for a construction turret instead. Now, both players in Cortex today means we're going to see how the players basically are able to manage the units and who is the better at microing the units, and rather than it being kind of like, you know, our Janices can shoot homing rockets and that sort of stuff. You know, it's just who is the best player here at Cortex. Love to see the trees burning down. By Blodir being this far forward though and causing these trees to place, this is removing Reclaim from the map. Although it is a bit further forward, it is doing something, and that's nothing to be sniffed at. We are about to see though, this grunt is got nothing to contest it, and if there is attention being given to it, will quite easily clean up those metal extractors. Although almost gets killed by the almost gets killed by the explosion of the mechs there, and that gets him so low down that it's quite easy to mop up. Meanwhile, on the bottom here, there's some probing attacks from Blodir, but nothing really too much. Now, I expect not much to really happen in these early stages. Both players are just kind of probing, seeing if they can find any holes. But it's going to be a bit of a slow one, I would predict. So far, though, the most economy damage has been done by Xfactor. Actually managing to find weak points to get in and deal with this expansion over here. Also, you can see this triple mechs over here is currently being denied. So that's not good for Blodir. Blodir also kind of throwing away quite a lot of grunts. He's burning down a lot of the trees, though, in Xfactor's starting position, which is obviously removing quite a lot of E reclaim that can be had. Oh, will he get the resbot, though? He does manage to get the resbot. That's a big hit. But Xfactor about to get a construction bot here, which is a substantial more amount of damage than a resbot. And this is the issue with this map. There is so much area to cover that it's very difficult to have like units everywhere. Yet again, like on this side here, another grunt gets through and manages to take out that metal point yet again. This is where the Cortex armed metal extractors are going to play a big impact, because they're going to be able to help defend themselves a bit, at least whittle down these early attacks. Both players seem to be really struggling to hold these flanks. A bit of a dangerous attack here. Units coming into Blodir's base. He's having to stop building that windmill. Unfortunately, some of these aren't going to get round. Looks like they are. Blodir manages to get the units in the bottom right, manages to take out the triple mechs. Looks like he's going for the bottom left one as well. There is a laser tower and two there already, so they're not going to be able to do too much damage, as they're now just about to go into the range of the second one. Oh, they do get the construction turret though. And luckily enough for Blodir, that grunt shoots the wreck instead of shooting the unit, and therefore manages to get the constructor, which is going to delay this side again. And it's also difficult, as you see here, to build any form of static defenses, because there's so much like side back bits here that's in the swamps that units can just sneak their way through. And now, if Blodir keeps this up, there's going to be a huge opening in the back of Xfactor's base. He does know he has sent a few units there to intercept. It depends how far Xfactor is going to follow him. There we go. Blodir's now moving in on the attack. Blodir can't really see much here. There's way too many grunts for him to push in on. At this point, I'd be kind of tempted to self-destruct these, so you don't give them the reclaim. You're getting closed in on so much, you're not really going to be able to escape. And although it's not a lot of reclaim, you know, there was like 5 or 6, you know, there's 252 there. Yet again, another construction bot gets taken out by this harass of Blodir. Great harass now. Been able to keep, both players have been able to keep each other off of their triple mexes. And it does look like Blodir is trying to focus everything down the middle, whereas Xfactor's kind of going around the sides. Neither player capping off any of these side mexes, just purely because they're not even able to get out of their own base. When it comes to Xfactor's field of view, you can see the radar there. He can see the ones coming from the right and the left. Units do disappear every now and again due to just the way that the hills are. I'm surprised we don't see like a radar on these little hills at the top here, which would give a lot better vision of this low ground. Meanwhile, just more and more and more grunts coming out. Both players staying in base with their commanders though, with Xfactor actually just starting to move out now. See, if the commanders had actually moved to one of these sides, it would have been a lot easier for the players to defend one of the flanks, but they're putting all of that build power from the commander into those kind of factories to get more units out. And Blodir, I would argue, is doing a lot better right now. He's definitely inflicting more damage onto Xfactor. Although all of the Reclaim is ending up on Xfactor's side, which, you know, in essence is a donation of metal. But it's all about keeping your opponent, like, trident, keep him contained. And we can see at the top here, Xfactor is trying to push in on this metal point that's been, like, left alone. Again, this triple metal point still hasn't been finished, though, because there's no constructor over there. Plenty of grunts there to deal with that, though. Low power, though, meaning the LLT isn't actually able to fire straight away, and that leaves a bit of an open hole. Huge grunt force, though, down here, and Blodir is doing a lot of damage. And so far, Blodir very much in control. Definitely dictating the pace of this game, and you can see that by the fact that he's starting to actually have all these expansions under control. His constructor on the right hand side, you can see on the map, is starting to move down this flank, but this might be a bit of a mistake here for Blodir, as he's just wasted a massive army in this lowland, and now Xfactor's comm is moving towards the middle section. Blodir, however, is still in base, building more and more wins, using that comm build power for that advantage. Wind is really bad, though, right now, with a 4 on the wind factor. Both players basically with 0 energy right now. All of a sudden, Blodir is quite short on units in the middle. Good harass going on here. Gets their res bot. Probably going to get a construction bot. He does. Meanwhile, this fight in the middle again, just slowly pushing back. But Xfactor now managing to get a bit more control. It's got it kind of like... Helps if my map didn't draw something silly. Like this is what is under control right now. A little less than half the map. No one, though, really controls this left side. But Xfactor in a very strong position in the middle. With his commander there, is going to enable him to be able to hold this middle section down a lot easier, meaning that his grunts can go to the left or right. And as we mentioned earlier on, look how many grunts there are here. At least 13 grunt bodies there that he can reclaim, and they're right outside of his base, and that's not including all the ones over here as well. So Blodir needs to be careful if he keeps giving Rex away and is not able to, like, either kill the Rex or do enough substantial damage that it offsets it. He's gonna put himself behind, and we're seeing that now by the amount of grunts that Xfactor has. And you can see there's quite a lot with halos over their head. Probably about half of those grunts right there have been resurrected, if not more than that. And that's just basically a pure resurrected army. But they're trying to buy time for that LLT to finish, and he does manage it. You see Blodir trying to resurrect what's left over his side, but he has nowhere near. These units are just going to walk in, kill those res bolts, kill that forward line of defense. Which is odd, because Blodir would have seen those units moving across, and yet he didn't chase them down with this. Now, are we going to see a transition over to anything else? We actually do see a start of some air coming out here from Blodir. Now, if these bombers can get in, that's going to be a substantial amount of damage due to how much wind both players have built. As we quickly look at each base, you see just how many winds there are here. A lot of them are spread out very well to not chain. But as you see here in Xfactor's base, there's quite a lot grouped up in one space, and he could take out a lot of these with one bombing run. And here come the bombers, so we'll see what happens. Right hand side starts getting cleaned up here. The construction bot does manage to get taken out. Xfactor now just realizing that air is about. The bombers are going to make it though. They're not going to get much done. That's a bit disappointing actually. Didn't really do much. The shurikens, though, on the other hand, will. And this is going to force Xfactor now to start producing anti-air units. Although, unfortunately, Blodir's not paying attention to these units. Now he is. And this is now going to force Xfactor to make a choice where he's going to send his units. Meanwhile, Blodir does have a big chunk of forces on the left here. That's where his commander and another group of units are. And just off on the map on the screen there, you can see actually a transition over to Tech 2. Which can be dangerous. But right now, the map is pretty, stagnant and pretty split down the middle. Although, when it comes to, area physically controlled by your construction bots, I would argue that Xfactor is probably in a bit more control here. He owns this entire middle section pretty uncontested. Whereas, you can see here, Blodir is only just starting to actually cap those. Stuff on the right is probably about to get wiped pretty quickly here, as there's nothing left to defend over in that section. And Xfactor with his comm currently idling, getting some good vision though with this radar by Blodir. You can see here that Blodir also building another radar in the middle and now has substantial radar coverage of everything. Whereas when we look at Mr. Xfactor, see Xfactor missing quite a lot when it comes to radar coverage. He's just got the middle. He's missing both of the left and right sides. And he doesn't quite know where all the armies are. Because this is a big group of army here to not be aware of. And it does look like Blodir is amassing for an attack. Or just grouping up his units in the middle, maybe. But with Tech 2 coming out now for Blodir, kind of needs to make the most of this right now. Economy-wise, we can see that it's very close, not much in it. Reclaim just currently affecting that, making it more on Blodir's side. Energy, there's again nothing in it. Both players are very close. Energy produced is literally at 0%. They've both basically produced the same amount of energy so far. And metal is only just slightly on Blodir's side. But with Tech 2 coming out now, and no new units being produced by Xfactor now for a little while, purely just fighters are being built as well. Xfactor with about 1,000 metal in his bank, slowly draining through it though, but what is he planning on doing? Oh, this is a good point. Does he see those pyros? He does. Those fiends, sorry, now they're called. Now these will manage to make it through. How much damage they're going to be able to inflict though is another question. And here come the Tech 2 in the middle, and Xfactor needs to make some form of move, building shurikens here to try and stem the tide. They will work very effectively versus these fiends. And decided to actually go Tech 1 vehicles, which is interesting. Rather than transition into Tech 2, deciding to go Tech 1. Now, what can Xfactor do about this? I mean, to be fair, he's kind of got a right move here in the way that, yes, he has a lot of grunts, but this is a big blob, and grunts aren't going to do great. Especially when you know your opponent's got Tech 2. Vehicles are obviously quicker, more heavier. They're going to be able to chase down those Sheldons effectively. And now there are some shurikens out on the field. I don't think he knows that his opponent has any air yet, so these shurikens might not last. But both players know they're both core, so they both have an idea that, you know, your opponent is probably going to build shurikens. Just need to be prepared for it. And here they go. Huge amount of EMPing being done. And unfortunately, Blodir not able to pay attention quick enough, and these shurikens doing a mighty good job. And that entire army gets absolutely obliterated through that 1 second. 1 second that Blodir wasn't paying attention. And that's it. The whole army goes up in smoke. Now that is a huge amount of reclaim there, probably. It doesn't want to tell me for some reason. 2,800 metal to just be sat there. And Xfactor doing a good move now. He knows that most of the army of Xfactor has just been completely annihilated. So he's trying to push now, get as much damage as he can done in one go. Unfortunately, I don't know how much he's actually gonna manage. Manages to get, obviously, these free metal extractors here. But that's it. He's not going to get any further than that. The skies are in control by Blodir. No, sorry, Xfactor, currently. For now. Both players now completely out of fighters, however. And the shurikens just doing a good job. These sumos are well and truly stunned. But unfortunately for Xfactor, he just doesn't have the damage needed to kill them quick enough. And Blodir managing to save most of these sumos. Sumo's actually having a pretty good job at actually killing these shurikens. Battle of attrition now going on. Both players just sending everything they've got into this middle section, trying to just, well, secure the wreck field to begin with, and also just trying to kill the units that are there. Looks like Xfactor decides to pull back. Has the Tech 2 transition started for him? No. Xfactor still on Tech 1. Unfortunately, Xfactor loses 2 construction cons just then. Construction bots, rather. And Blodir will not make that mistake again. He will not leave his army now without any form of AA. So that plan ain't going to work twice. So what is he going to do? Well, right now, Xfactor is purely basically being defensive. This push was not. Whole idea of that push was, you know, try and put your enemy on the back foot to react to you for a change. But right now, again, unfortunately, Xfactor is just being responsive. What he could do is he could take off a group of these and send them around here. Force your opponent to react to you instead. And although there are some units there, tanks should be able to get past them effectively. And then you're going to keep some reinforcements, you know, to defend this. Both players have actually built the Geos, but one of the Geos for Blodir is actually Tech 2 at this point. Oh, and finally the transition over to Tech 2 from Blodir. And Quakers, which look very different now. Apparently they do some form of deploying, where their legs go down according to the picture. Haven't used them yet myself. But again, advantage currently Blodir. As you can see, economy-wise, look at the difference. Now, there is reclaiming going on and stuff like that. So it is slightly biased, but there is a significant amount of T2 metal extractors from Blodir. And obviously, economy of Xfactor is purely T1. He's only just about to get a tier 2. Oh, he's got one tier 2 guy out. But he's made a bit of a maze for himself with all these windmills, which is making it harder for him to actually get anywhere. Where's the radar for that? Oh, there, okay. I was wondering where the radar was for Blodir, but it's here. And here. There. So he's got some good vision, which is definitely something Xfactor does not have, as we are about to see what I just talked about, but for Blodir, as he's about to push down here into the massive windmills. And currently, Xfactor has nothing there to defend against that. Question is, does he even notice there? Again, no radar on the left flank at all. And Xfactor definitely having issues with vision. Ooh, a spy bot set in the middle here, trying to provide vision for his forward Sheldons. You see these Quakers deployed, they look pretty cool. But what can Xfactor do right now? Well, he's in a bit of a tough spot. He's massively on the back foot. He's massively behind in army values. You can see here, 90% army value difference. That is a huge number to be behind on. Quakers, however, do have a range advantage over Sheldons. And that was a big explosion. You can see Quakers have a bit of a splash. And Sheldons and the Fiends that are there are obviously pretty weak. So if you can manage to get a good, decent splash off, you may take out more than one at a single time. Would say that potentially, as your opponent's coming to you, maybe a Tsar would be useful here. You build a Tsar, you can manual fire it at the stuff that's coming towards you. It's very, very high health, so it's just going to like absorb a lot of damage. As we see here, Xfactor trying to initiate an attack here, but look how much damage he's taken before he's even able to get close. Again, so far he's lost a Tiger and a Stout and has basically done nothing. Lost a Quaker now as well. Basically just taking so much damage but not actually able to accomplish anything. Now, one thing of note as well, if we quickly look in this base, you can see a second fusion going up and Tech 2 Air coming out from Blodir. Meanwhile, most of the energy economy for Xfactor is still Tech 1. Flak's getting taken out at long range here. And Xfactor in trouble. Xfactor in big, big trouble. There are radar jammers up for Xfactor, but obviously that doesn't help against the spy bots we have here. There's a lot of spy bots around now as well. And this is very dangerous for Xfactor. Right outside the base, you can see that Quakers are being specifically targeted, but oh, a counter-intrusion system has gone up as well. Spy bots are now visible. Well, somewhat. Oh, but the EMP manages to go off. Great EMP. That's a big chunk of Xfactor's army stunned. However, Blodir actually falling back from that. That is surprising. I'm maybe guessing that right now he's trying to consolidate his gains. He doesn't feel comfortable pushing in this close. Like, his plan is to just hold the line and build up his economy. Right now you can see he's building strategic bombers. And he's actually going to build his advanced fusion. This is going to massively scale his economy. Oh, but this is interesting. A Cerberus from Xfactor being built. Now that will do a very good job at holding the line. Oh, the EMP does manage to go off, but luckily enough only gets maybe 2 Tigers, I think, by the looks of it. Yeah, there's only 2 not moving. The sooner this Cerberus gets built, the better for Xfactor, though, as he's getting pushed even further back into his base. More EMP going off. Luckily enough, only grunts really affected this time. Cerberus is not going to be done anytime soon. There are a whole 2 minutes left. And baited into the minefield now, Xfactor is. Another EMP manages to go off. And here comes another one as well. Oh, no, it gets spotted this time. Oh, massive EMP damage to the army on the left flank of here. And Xfactor now with 4 Tigers, 6 Tigers EMP'd. 2 of them just coming back now. Oh, but this is also not good as a Mammoth has now arrived. And that does a lot of damage at quite a long range. Especially for how tanky it is. 1,500 health. And here come the bombers. But I hope Xfactor managed to get some air defense up in time. What a beautiful bombing run. Huge chunk of Xfactor's air goes absolutely obliterated. Here comes the second run. Going for the T2 lab. T2 lab absolutely obliterated. And now Xfactor has nothing to work with. More energy damage being dealt. Bombers are still alive though. New Tech 2 lab gets started straight away. Unfortunately does not get completed. And all of the bombers are now dead. And that one for some reason bounced. But Xfactor now with no unit production other than Tech 1 bots. He desperately needs these Cerberuses to go up. Unfortunately, well, this one's actually close to being done. This one also close to being done. And this may just save Xfactor's life. One big advantage of Cortex here, the Cerberus. And with these perfectly placed geos, this is the perfect use for them, especially when you're behind like this and need to defend your base. You can see now all of the units that were basically supporting these mammoths have been absolutely destroyed, leaving only the mammoths left. And this is going to leave a very large amount of metal inside of Xfactor's base. And another thing of note here as well is that he's obviously not using any metal right now. So with that factory being destroyed, that actually helped finish these Cerberuses so much quicker. But I think Xfactor has a vision problem right now. No, he's alright. This dragon, though. Xfactor still doesn't really have any form of, like, air defense left. He has a couple of flaks, but that's about it. And the Cerberuses have definitely changed the tide now for Xfactor and managed to hold him out a significant while longer. And just look how much room Blodir is having to back off now so that he's not getting attacked by these Cerberuses. You can see the huge range that they reach, and both of them combined, as you see, all the way behind these metal points he has to fall back to. And that has given Xfactor a bit of breathing room. Now bear in mind as well though, because of this hill here, he's actually only able to shoot like that. So, if stuff comes down this left flank, you can probably get in. And Xfactor now needs to quickly, desperately rebuild. He did manage to keep the Tech 2 couple, it looks like a couple of Tech 2 constructors alive. So now I think what his plan's going to be is he is going to try and eco up as quickly as possible. And I would predict he's probably going to go to Tech 3. And we actually see Tech 3 coming out from Blodir now as well. And surprisingly, of all units, we see a Behemoth. Now, never seen one of those, especially in a 1v1. So this is definitely something that we never see. And the nuke defense also going up. Xfactor with no nuke defense yet, which potentially means Blodir is planning on also building a nuke himself. But just look how little sprawl Blodir has. Because of his transitions to the fusions early on, he's been able to keep quite a small base footprint, which is a positive and a negative, because obviously a bombing run here will do a lot more damage. Whereas Xfactor has spread out across a huge area, which does mean he has a lot of like just individual windmills, which is a good and bad thing. But it does mean he needs to defend a lot bigger area in order to not take a hit. Now, obviously that's changing with the introduction of these fusions. And the geothermals are, you know, given a little bit of power, nowhere near as much as these hazardous ones, generating 1,250. But you're not aware, when these blow up, they're like a nuke going off. So this is quite dangerous to have directly outside your base. But this is what we were looking for. It helped if I would zoom in on it rather than the other button. But this bad boy will walk through anything. This guy, if you're not aware and haven't actually seen him before, this big barrel on here is a D-gun in essence. The only unit that basically has the same power as a commander when it comes to destructive ability. It's not as strong as the commander's D-gun. It won't single shot everything, but it does so much damage that it's definitely something to be worried about. And then not only that, but in the background we see the king of tier 3 being built here by Blodir, the Juggernaut. And when it comes to tier 3, that is the one to have. And Xfactor currently 0 tech 3 production, and he doesn't really have what it takes to take any of these threats that are coming towards him out. Now, normally if you were Armada, you would maybe mass some Starlights or Sniper Bots. Sniper Bots would do very good job against massive single targets like this or like the Juggernaut. We actually surprisingly see a shield coming out from Blodir as well to defend against any long-range plasma cannons. And Xfactor now just having to kind of sit back and fortify up. And the anti-nuke now actually going up here from Xfactor. This is a worrying state now for Xfactor. He's mass-producing grunts. This isn't really going to accomplish much, because all of these units are pretty good at dealing with them. Well, Mammoth's not so much. But this bad boy will deal with it pretty easily. And as the spectator said, never seen this in a 1v1. That is correct. I have never seen a Behemoth in a 1v1. And this bad boy is so slow, it's going to take forever to get to the front line. But when it does, it is going to pass through anything. Now, I have seen them taken out by massing units around them. But you've got to have a lot of units. And Xfactor, unfortunately, just doesn't have the quantity right now. Especially with the amount of other stuff as well. And not only that, but behind him, the thuds of death. As Juggernaut is walking towards the front line with another one already in production behind him. And this one being built in just over a minute. Meanwhile, attack nuke being built and a bulwark as well. Now, a bulwark will definitely help, but issue that Xfactor has as well is he has no real vision. He doesn't know what's coming. And with a radar jammer, like a Tech 2 radar jammer attached just behind this Behemoth, that's probably going to be able to get pretty close without, like, anyone knowing. But here we go. The march of the Behemoth with the Juggernaut right behind it. Literally have been clicked through Xfactor's base. And now Xfactor is about to see what's coming for him. And the worry as Xfactor sees the D-gun of death coming through, approaching his base, as he's desperately trying to build another bulwark. And he knows what's coming. You can see how little damage these Cerberuses are dealing to this Behemoth. And this is all or nothing now for Xfactor. Looks like he had some spy planes go around, but that's not going to do anything. It's all or nothing. He has to kill these T3, otherwise it's game over. Now, the only solution I see for Xfactor right now, he needs to D-gun both of these with his commander. If he does not D-gun these with the commander, it is game over. And that is exactly what he's trying to do here. Xfactor walking in with his comm cloaked. All of the supporting units now has basically been taken out. Now, a lot of friendly fire can happen with this main gun. Xfactor surprisingly pulling back his forces, using an attack nuke. No idea what that attack nuke was for. But right behind him is another Shiva as well. Guessing the plan here, use grunts. Try and surround them. I mean, if this Behemoth friendly fires into the Juggernaut, I mean, That's also going to cause some problems, but it's not getting close enough. Xfactor hesitating with his commander here, unsure of what he actually wants to do. Blodir doing a great job though, just kind of keeping this bear moth at its max range. You can see this static defenses just get absolutely annihilated. And another juggernaut right behind him. What are you doing, Xfactor? What's your play? There's so much tier 3 coming at him now. He's just massing grunts right now. He's moving his commander around. I'm guessing he's hoping the enemy units are outside of his range. He needs to be very careful he doesn't get in the way of that D-gun. And this is a dangerous position he's in, because if these construction bots get shot, his commander is right next to it. That is a very close shot, Xfactor's commander. What's the play, Xfactor? More tac nukes going off. Not really making a dent there at all. And here he goes. The D-guns of truth. Great D-gun there. Manages to take out the Juggernaut and the Behemoth and the Shiva. But still, one Juggernaut remains, and Blodir, none the wiser, has any idea what happened. Amazing D-gun by Xfactor. And unfortunately, Blodir attacked there. No radar coverage at all that far in. And that's exactly what Blodir was waiting for. That's exactly why he didn't push out down here, because the radar would have been spotted. And which is why he waited so long to make a move. And Blodir clearly not happy with that. But right now, again, Blodir still massively in the lead. Yes, Xfactor managed to get a single D-gun off, but will it change the tide of this battle? I don't think so. I don't think Xfactor has a chance to bring this back. However, at the end of the day, all it takes is the commander to be killed. Blodir's commander, right now, is not in his base. He's only building tier 3 and grunt. But the side on the left here is, you know, relatively exposed. These pop-ups, although they would do a very good job at dealing with anything, because there's this low ground here, I'm not sure how much they'll be able to shoot. Maybe from like only here onwards. And obviously this is quite a short path inside its range. We could be seeing a surprise attack from Xfactor, trying to flank round. He does have a single Cerberus left up as well. But Xfactor's got his work cut out to try and bring this back. And I don't know if he's going to be able to. He has built a tier 3 lab himself. But he's running out of space, to be honest with you. He's trying to build an advanced fusion reactor right now, which is why you can see he's not actually building any units of any kind. And I think Blodir's plan right now will be spread out his juggernauts and have them all attack at the same time in a line straight down. Xfactor's commander can't be everywhere at once. And that means damage will be dealt. And Xfactor needs to choose what he's going to defend. Now, one thing of note here is there are Spectres, the spy bots. They are not going to be effective versus Juggernauts, as Juggernauts are EMP resistant, or proof, I think, actually. Oh, and two Tech 2 constructors managed to get taken out there. I'm surprised by the attack nukes, though. They didn't really do much, and they are sapping 7.3 metal each, as well as 200. I feel like these are a bit of a waste. When they were against Tech 2, I guess, okay, but when you look at their range, I mean, it's the same range that the Cerberus has had. I feel like they're not really that good. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments if you think that TAC nukes are valuable units. Now, if you're playing Armada with the EMP TAC nukes, different story, but the Cortex TAC nukes, not quite. One advanced fusion is up and running, and we can see when it comes to economy, it is massively in Blodir's advantage. Army value is 939% in Blodir's advantage, and obviously that's purely down to how many juggernauts there are. And okay, I've also never seen this in a 1v1. Clearly he didn't want to care about the tech 3 push, and he's just gonna rapid fire cannon Xfactor to death. I don't think he's got the energy to fire that. Definitely doesn't have the energy storage to fire it effectively. But do you need to fire it effectively? Really? He already knows what all of these fusions are. He doesn't know what the advanced fusions, but all of the fusions. And the range of it is map wide. So once this is finished, it will definitely be game over for Xfactor. And I'm pretty sure Xfactor has nothing that can stop that. 40 seconds. Eating all of the Tech 1 labs to get a bit more metal there. Can't say I've ever seen one of these built in a 1v1. So that's 2 firsts today, guys. Just absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy that he's building that in a 1v1. Keeps building con turrets though, which is making it take longer to get this thing finished. Stop teasing us, Blodir. Finish the damn thing. Oh, well, we're still waiting for that. What's going up here? Xfactor building more bulwarks, building more advanced fusions. Still no tier 3 being produced by Blodir. Just look how many units there are on this front line. Mostly all grunts, bear in mind. But Xfactor doesn't know that. Also, Xfactor's vision, again, very limited. No radars on the flanks at all still. No radars even by the Cerberus. And here we go. Right, the prime... Oh, actually, surprisingly hitting the front. There we go, starting to hit the fusions. And say goodbye, Xfactor. Fusions are desperately trying to be kept alive. Bulwarks are now going up in smoke. At the same time, there was an attempted push here, but nothing is getting through. Shields desperately trying to be built here, but that is a rapid fire cannon. It's going to require a lot more than just a single shield to defend against that. And now, unfortunately, Blodir is completely out of power. We can see the power chunk down here at the bottom. Shield's actually now managing to hold off. It was lucky he spent all that time getting those fusions up. But still, look, there's 3 shields, 4th one being built now, and still shots penetrating. Now, the thing is, because he kind of fired so early, before he had energy storage and enough energy to fire it, it has given Xfactor now an opportunity. Also, he probably should have scouted first, but with 4 advanced fusions, still obviously nowhere near. But actually, 4 advanced fusions is the exact same amount of fusions as Blodir has. And somehow, we can see here the metal income for a brief second, because he was reclaiming his fusion, dead fusion, was actually towards Xfactor sub. But when we look at the numbers here, metal produced, Xfactor produced so far 378,000 metal, whereas Blodir has produced 560,000 metal. Energy produced 20 million to 17 million. And the rapid fire fires again. All of these forward defenses are going to be absolutely destroyed. But, so far, the shields are holding. This is the only thing Xfactor is able to build, though, right now, is shields. Shields, shields, and more shields. But this is the issue right now, is that Blodir can't afford to keep running it. If he could keep running it, he would burn through those shields pretty quickly. But he's desperately needing more energy in order to fire it efficiently. We can see it's all queued up. I am somewhat surprised he's not choosing to go for, like, other bits. Because what can he see? I mean, yeah, surprisingly, these fusions are still alive. Which is probably what his target is these 3 fusions. He's not aware that the advanced fusions are here, which is why he hasn't changed his target. And it looks like now, yep, he is changing his target. Unfortunately, there's not really anything there. Yeah, he could really do with scouting. Oh, but here goes some of the wind. Now this is useful use of it. He's clearing up the sides. This is 0 threat to him whatsoever. And he's probably moving to the right-hand side now, I would guess. Or has he just stopped firing? Looks like he's just stopped firing for now. Building up more. And at this point... Xfactor actually returning the favor by building his own lava cannon. Right, well, I mean... I guess. I mean... There's definitely not enough shields here to hold against one. He also doesn't have enough power to fully fire it, but will Xfactor finish his one in time? That's another question as well. At this point, maybe if he has the mental like thingy to reclaim these. I mean, they do have 10 missiles stocked ready to go, which would be a bit of a waste, but how much is one of those to reclaim? 1,200 metal. Xfactor, though, right now, currently not got a problem with metal. He has plenty of metal. And, well, I mean... This is just an absolutely ridiculous 1v1. I have never seen a 1v1 get to this stage, and if this is what a 1v1 does on this map, I want to see more 1v1s on this map. Yeah, both of these players just I don't know what their plans are. Surprisingly, this is enough shield to block it. And with only a single anti-nuke there, I feel like Blodir could push in and take out that anti-nuke effectively. He also has such a defense in depth here with the amount of units he got. He is in no threat whatsoever here. Is he building a second lol cannon? He is, but why is he building it directly in front of the first one? Because now the one at the back isn't going to be able to shoot. I feel like this is a mistake that he's not paying attention to. Because why would you build that directly in front? Also, it's a shame that I can't tell, but oh, there we go. I mean, he has control of this section here. He could have just built a bunch of basic ballistas rather than try to build the rapid fires. But we are about to see Xfactor's own rapid fire go, and it is set to hold fire. And here goes a return fire. Xfactor's energy dropping very quickly. Unfortunately, none of the shots managed to make it through the shield. Oh, but the build power manages to get chained by a lucky shot. And that definitely has inflicted some damage. This is definitely going to slow down any production that Blodir has. Some is managing to make it through as it bounces around the shield. And a big chain on the right-hand side as a load of energy converters go up. This is basically like two drunk guys just taking it in turns to punch each other around the face and see who's going to pass out first. But at the same point now, Blodir's had enough. This massive wave of Tech 3 goes in. Although it was hilarious that Xfactor also built one of these himself, he doesn't have the forces to stand against the wave of onslaught with this much Tech 3. He does have enough pawns to deal with the pawns though. But unfortunately, these Juggernauts are going to make it in. And that will be the end for Xfactor very soon. He has an air transport. Oh, he's going for the D-gun. If this ballsy play pays off, I will be amazed. And here he comes, Xfactor's D-guns. 2 Juggernauts down, 2 remain. 14% health though. And no energy left to fire the rapid fire. It has been left on hold fire, but also Xfactor with no units left. That effectively dealt with that. You should probably instantly cancel the production of this Behemoth. And that will be the end for Xfactor. He's desperately healing his comm up. Rapid fire will get destroyed very soon. Oh, and the chain. All energy production is still left alive, but all of the energy converters do go up in smoke. Xfactor not able to pull off the same trick again as Blodir managed to spot Xfactor's commander. And here will be the end as the rapid fire flies in, targeting the energy production. And ready for a nice, beautiful explosion any second now. There we go. And here comes Xfactor's commander. One last hurrah. And unfortunately, it's blown up out of the sky. Well, that was a very interesting game. I can't say I've ever seen anything like that. Really amusing. I hope you all enjoyed that one. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.